The US president has recently vowed to totally destroy North Korea if it possesses the threat to the US or its allies. And North Korea has responded in the same way regularly to these types of threats by saying that it would never bow down to international pressure and give up their nuclear weapons program. It would appear that the diplomacy has been sidelined in favour of military action here. We have seen from past skirmishes in Afghanistan, Iraq and Syria that gold price has been reluctant to move higher. Do you believe it is likely that there may be a US attack on North Korea in the coming months? And if so, how do you think this would impact on the gold price?
Yeah, I give a 70% probability to U.S. Attack, what we would call a preventive war, where we start it, but we're doing it to prevent existential threats to us, to the United States, before the end of March. And the reason I can put a specific date on it, I met in Washington, D.C. A couple of weeks ago with Mike Pompeo, who's the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, and with General H.R. McMaster, who's the National Security Advisor to the President. I'm on the board of a think tank that hosted a small private gathering and spent 6 hours. Got to sit as close to them as I am to you and engage in the dialogue. And Mike Pompeo said that it would be imprudent to assume that it would take North Korea more than 5 months to have the ability to threaten the United States. Meaning specifically, we know he has atomic bombs, hydrogen bombs, and has built warheads. We know that. We know he has intermediate range missiles, ballistic missiles, and intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBM. So those two things are known. To what extent has he been successful in marrying the warhead to the missile? And then you have to test it. You have to what they call miniaturize the warhead, obviously, and then you have to what they call ruggedize it. These missiles go into space, and then they have to re-enter the atmosphere. So there's a lot of heat and vibration, so they have to make sure they're robust to that guidance system. There's still a few missing parts, but not many. And he's made progress faster than anyone expected. So these are Mike Pompeo's exact words, not my paraphrase. He said it would be imprudent to assume it would take more than 5 months for him to have that, which means that but at the same time, we've said he will not be allowed to have it. We've heard that loud and clear from McMaster, General Mattis, Rex Tillerson, and the President. So if they've got 5 months, if that's the window, and they can't have it, but they're persisting, there's no sign that Kim Jong-un is either going to stand down or end his missile program or end his weapons program or allow inspectors in. Therefore, we're heading for war. And by the way, I wouldn't set my watch and say, okay, if March 20th is the outside date, it's going to be March 19th. Could be tomorrow. Now, I don't expect anything to happen until President Trump meets with President Xi of China in Beijing next week. So they're going to meet next week and talk about this. So the window, realistically, December, January, February. When this happens, this will be different than the other wars you mentioned. So other wars are tough, long. We're still in Afghanistan after 17 years. And sadly and tragically, there are a lot of casualties. But this is different. This will be the bloodiest war since at least Vietnam, probably the Korean War, which is not over, by the way. That was 1950 to 1953. But there was no peace treaty. There was an armistice, and they agreed to stand in place and stop shooting, but the war is technically still on. So it'll be the bloodiest war since then, and it doesn't necessarily mean the U.S. will use tactical nuclear weapons in the attack, but the fact that you've got two nuclear powers, Korea and the United States, engaged in any kind of war, I think will raise the level of concern to highs we hadn't seen at least since the Cuban Missile Crisis, if not longer. So that I expect would cause a major I expect the emerging markets to suffer for dollars, hard currencies to run out of emerging markets to the United States and bid up treasury bonds and gold.
Right. Okay. So you'd see. So you think this will really impact on gold prices?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think you'll see a major run up in gold prices. I expect gold prices to get stronger anyway.
Yeah.
But you add this in again. This is a different kind of war. I would expect it would have a major effect in running up the gold price. And again, this is going to happen in months, not years.